deployed, and we are seeing significant deceleration. Skycam maneuver has started. About 20.
Hi guys, my name is Andre aka Mark Renton, and today I think every proper geek is watching the NASA Perseverance, am I saying it correctly, landing on the Mars, so I thought I use the time and do a making of video of one of my remixes I've done I've done over 10 years ago when I was living in Luzerne in Switzerland, which is the Suzanne Vega Tom's Diner remix I did back then. I think in the meantime I learned many things and many things about production and making drum and bass, and so I would like to take the chance and do another proper remix, and I hope you enjoy it. So first things first, the first challenge is the original project I did back then in, I think it was 2010 or 2011 in Logic 8 or Logic 9, don't know what was actually there, and let's see if I still can open it. So first let me head over here. So I'm going to my tracks archive 2000. Let's search it. Tom's Diner. See if we can find it. March 2011. So there's this bootleg. This is my folder structure of back then. Okay, so you see I did this in 2011, March 2011. And back then I was using a folder structure trying to implement an idea I learned in some graphic design agencies I learned back then. So I was focusing really on the stages that I had in mind. And once the stage was done, I was moving to the next one. And for me, this was meaning really copy and pasting the project to another folder. And right now I'm still doing the same, but not that kind of hardcore, not like really copy pasting the project, but really try to focus on a specific task. So first thing was here, this is called idea. So or you could also name it jam session, yeah, like a normal rock band, for example, is sitting there or standing there with the guitars and the drummers. Maybe they drink a beer, smoke some cigarettes, and then just jam, get an idea. Maybe the guitarist comes up with a main lead or the vocalist comes up with an idea. So with a vocal, right? And so they just put down the idea, maybe find a riff, hook, and put everything together. Once they have everything, they move over to the arrangement, right? They say like, okay, we have this element and that element. Let's put this first, put this together, maybe solo this one, do a variation. So that's the arrangement, right? Then, of course, they try to record everything, or maybe, in the context of a rock band, they try to tune, like the guitar, try to make things a little bit better, try to tighten up the drums or whatever. But in the case of electronic music, for me, this means like making the drums better, making the bass line fatter, making the pads even nicer, and so on, right? So mixing is for me really about making the levels correct, doing compression, adding equalizer. Like if you think in the context of a normal console, a mixer, all the tools you have there, that's for me mixing, or adding some plugins, some nice stuff. So, but the idea and the arrangement and the instruments are fixed already, right? Of course, you don't have to be that kind of harsh. You still can change maybe a little bit things of the bass line and so on, because we do everything in the box right now, right? So, but in this case, I am focusing on the mixing. Next one is variations, and for me this was adding some alternative riffs, adding some breaks, adding some I don't know what, just to make the whole thing more interesting, right? Effects, you see here, I skipped even, this was a little bit too much, but the idea of effects was really adding some nice things, adding some effects in the background, just that it sounds a little bit more interesting, right? And then finally focusing on the master. I mean, I did a video already about demo mastering, but here this was really doing a stereo mix down, a stereo bounce, how it was called in Logic, or is called in Logic, and focusing on the master just to do the master and have the full CPU capacity or the full resources of my computer just for the master, right? Publishing makes sense, right? Store everything in there, like maybe a cover, the master files, maybe a text, maybe I don't know what. I try to put everything in there. You see, seems to be empty. Was maybe a little bit over organized, but I still have this concept of storing stuff I send out to guys, to labels, to I upload somewhere. I store this in project folders. And then finally, the most, not the most, but what I think is quite handy for me now, when I finish a track, I export all the tracks as stems, because you never know, all the plugins or whatever, maybe 1 year later or 2 years later don't work on your machine anymore, or you don't have the computer, or maybe you switch the operating system or whatever. So I'm still happy to have here all the tracks from Logic in there as stems, so I can import them in my favorite DAW. And that's what I'm going to do just in a minute. I'm going to import this into Ableton Live, and let's see how it looks like. But first, let's try to open the, let's say, variations, because this seems to be the most updated one. Item, I did this back. What does it saying? Okay, looks like an old Logic project. Let's see what happens when I'm opening it. So it's, of course, it makes sense. It's saying projects created in previous versions of Logic are not compatible with Logic Pro X. So I have to do a copy and save it somewhere. So let's do that. No big deal. So I'd save it somewhere. Tom's Diner Bootleg 2021. YouTube, because I just think I did this already. So now it's trying to load everything into Logic X. And of course, many things are not working. Back then I had Contact Free. I remember a funny story about how to buy, when I bought this plugin, I went by train. I was driving from Graz to Vienna, went into the music store, bought Contact Free. Back then this guy was saying, "Oh, you must be a really serious guy. Oh, you really know what you're doing." Then I was traveling back to Graz. We had a home party in our shared apartment, and yeah, I drank many beer. So that's how I bought Contact Free, but now these days I'm using Contact 5, so the Contact Free library is not there anymore. Let's see what I used there. Okay, it's an acoustic sample, Steinberger, Steingräber, whatever, okay. So let's see if Spotlight can find something, but I doubt that. Okay, cool, that's cool. So Contact 5 can import it, even though I don't have the Contact Free library, but obviously the Contact 5 library is, how to say, compatible to older versions. Let's search Spotlight, that's the cool thing on the Mac. Something else, Spotlight, okay. Find something, Spotlight. Marvelous. Okay, automation data converted, okay. No, continue. Oh, marvelous. Okay, hey, and you saw, I think, in some in my DAW video back then, the idea of my Logic mixer, but you see, in like 10 years ago, it was way more complex. So I was using Logic way more than today. But some plugins he could not find, like Auto-Tune. I had some demo version or so back then. I don't care. Battery free. I think these days it's battery 4. Why isn't it finding it? Isn't it battery 3? Okay, I have the latest version of battery, but okay. Live cut, I think I have. No, I do not have, but I have glitch. Ozone 4, I think I have Ozone 9. And this Maxoscope, it's not compatible because was a 32-bit version, but now there's a 64-bit version out there. Okay, but let's see. Creating the overview, and let's look to the arrangement. Okay, and let's see what he can play. Okay, I see the drums are not compatible anymore because battery is not loading up. But I tell you, the main reason why I would like to do a remake of my remix or of my bootleg is because of the drums. So they are, I think my skills increased drastically. But let's see what else he
and he fills it only halfway. And before I even argue, he is looking out the window at somebody coming in.
problem of my original bootleg was that the bassline is way too high. So maybe somehow we could lower it, but not to pitch too much. I think the original of this vocal is 2 semitones lower. I like the bass line. Let's see what I'm doing there. And you see I also added some parts here, this like this piano. I was and I am a big fan of Massive. This plugin is just amazing. Okay, you see, but that was basically the structure of my original bootleg. That was how my mixer looks like. I still like the mixer. That's the best mixer in any plugin, in any DAW. I like the Logic mixer, really. Since, okay, you see now this was the structure, and I think I'm going to use the stems at all because the stems back then were like 100% compatible of how it sounded back then, right? So let's see. I am using the stems now and just try to import them to Ableton Live because I prefer to do my remake in Ableton Live. So let's close Logic. Don't save. I don't care. Open Ableton Live. Whoa, amazing. Okay, while NASA landed a rover on the Mars, I'm importing my old bootleg into Ableton Live. And here you see I've done this already. I imported everything and cut it. I think it's not interesting for you how I cut everything and copy paste it, but those are basically my stems from there. I removed some already together. It's looking like that. So I have here because of my template, my MIDI tracks. I here have some audio channels just to be able to record everything. Here I have my sidechain channel, which is just, like bunching a kick drum that I can use in my compression just to add some rhythm to everything. I have my melodies, I have my drums and my bass lines, and I have my basses. Technically, I also could use the groups as basses, but I'm still not doing that. I still prefer having specific basses, so that's why I'm routing all the tracks individually to my basses. And yeah, just that's it. And what you see here is basically melodies. Chopped it up already a little bit and rearranged some things here. Let me talk then about the drums. So many things are ongoing here. That's basically the main part I did. I redid the bass line. I tried some things but deleted already some things. But yeah, let me just show you the track in a few days. I would like to upload it. So I would love to get some feedback on there, or maybe add or maybe tweak one or more things or so. But right now, today, I would like to show you how I did this track, and then in a few days you can listen to it, okay? So have a listen to it now.
Somebody coming in.
So, by the way, I just see here, by the way, I used the Master Assistant. I did my mastering, I was explaining already in the a video ago, but then I just hit the Master Assistant and thought like, sounds better even. So I did some more adjustments, but for me, it just sounded better. With the melodies and pads and everything, there's nothing new. It's the same sounds. What I did compared to my old version is the piano is way louder, because here this in this
Counter to the counter.
I like that. Yes, and the vocal is louder, but beside that there's no new melodies or pads or so. It's the I use the old tracks basically for that. Yeah, everything is in there, but while the melodies are the same, drums changed heavily. I think you heard this already. So in my original version, it just, if listen to it, it just, I just didn't know it better. It just, everything is loud and squeezed together, and it sounds muddy and so on, like no dynamics and so on. And I thought this song deserves something better or something else. And something else for me means like a boom chuck. Boom chuck, simple drum bass beat, but like a kick and a rim shot. here I have a group which is called the group for kick and snare. Listen to this. Sounds shitty, right? But here I layered some snares, but I have a group for that. And then I added some battery kick. Listen to that. And here's something ongoing, what he learned in the masterclass of Giuseppe Ottaviani. So the cool thing about battery is I'm using this kick drum, adding the beef below what you just heard before, using this one, okay? And it's pretty easy to just exchange it, okay? So when I say this, I can exchange it with that. And then my MIDI note is hitting this kick drum. Oh, also sounds cool, but you know, like in the whole mix, I preferred that one. So I just exchange it again. What else do we got? So let's again put this together. Adding some shakers. Just to make things more interesting here with addictive drums. Adding some hi-hats. Listen to this. Some effects I was using from the old version. Listen to this. And then here, adding some more drum loop stuff. And this is adding like the ghost notes that maybe you might miss if it's too straight, too much two-step drum and bass, yeah? So, but that's the complete drum loop. Here are some more hi-hats. But that's the point, right? So, those are my new drums. What do you think? Okay, let's come to the bass. I think you discovered it already. The new version is, I think, two keys, two semitones lower. Let's just go to the vocal. Okay, one key, one semitone lower. Because of that, I redid a complete bassline. Let's come to the bassline, put this together again. Come to the bassline group, listen to that, to my new bassline. So I'm using a patch of my track, it's called More or Less, which came out on Drum Army in 2019. So this is basically just a sine wave where I modulating the pitch in the beginning. Where is it? Here. So, yeah, so to have some more attack. Okay, but why did I change the pitch? Because the original one was playing, I think, too high. So here, see to the lower right on my screen, we use an F sharp mainly, or I can also go to the MIDI notes, right? So this one, okay, it's a G. Mainly we are using a G, which I think, which for me is still in an interesting frequency spectrum on most subwoofers. I think, unfortunately for most speakers, this C2, which is around 30 Hz, is too low. At least in my car, I can't hear it. On the headphones, I also can't hear it, but I know there are some systems that can hear it, yeah? So we have it in here. By the way, before starting this track, I thought of another track of mine, which is called Meridiani. The bass line would fit to this track. And so that's why this is in here. But then I thought like, oh no, maybe, and so, so I just redid the complete thing and came up with a new idea, which is just what you heard before. But I still, from Meridiani, there's a break like just in here where the bass line is getting quieter. And I still liked it. I just did not reproduce it with a synthesizer. I still have the sample in here. I might change it for the final version that you can hear in a few days. But listen to this in the full context.
Sitting in the morning at the diner on the corner, I am waiting at the counter for the man to pour the coffee, and he fills it only halfway, and before I even argue, he is looking out the window at somebody coming in.
Yeah, so basically that's it. All right, I think that's just it, and there's nothing special about that. So I kept the original arrangement. I redid the complete drum part, I think. I tried to improve the bass line, and please let me know what you think about that. And by the way, today I just hit the 300 mark of subscribers on YouTube, and I'm really proud of that, to see that my channel is still small but growing. And for me, that really means a lot, to see that there are freaks out there that really appreciate what I'm doing and that give me some feedback in the comments. I read all the comments, by the way, that you dropped on there. I read all the emails that I get because of my channel and of my music. And as said, yeah, please subscribe it, spread the word, hit the like button, and of course listen to my music on Spotify or everywhere where you get music, because that means a lot to me. And talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye.